Shifting gears here to something that does not have a great track record, that is Big 12 recruiting, absent Texas and Oklahoma. Man, we do see Texas Tech like trying to carry that torch and pick up the slack, and they are like the only Big 12 team that is even close to maybe in the coming years joining the blue chip ratio club and like legitimately being a national title contender. They pick up Kavian Bryant recently on CBS Sports HQ. What do our listeners back home need to know about Kavian?
Yeah, 2027 quarterback. So a junior in high school. He picked Texas Tech. He had a bunch of other finalists, Texas, Florida State. They're all involved in quarterback recruiting. It's on a different timeline, right? But all these guys are trying to get their arms of the future committed as early as they can. Kavian Bryant, to me, I think he is the best playmaker when we talk about this group of junior quarterbacks. He is a true dual threat talent. I think he is a fusion, and I want to be clear here, like stylistically, he's got some Cam Ward to him, and he's got some Kyler Murray to him, right? He's got the Cam Ward pocket confidence, the changing of the arm angles, the ability to feel and sense pressure. I want to caveat this. That is the Cam Ward we saw at Miami, not the Cam Ward directing whatever you want to call the Tennessee Titans offense. And then the Kyler Murray legs, right? Like he can absolutely roll in the open field. Now, both those guys were first-round picks. I'm not ready to say, hey, Kavian Bryant is going to be a first-round pick. But again, I think he is the best playmaker when we talk about these 2027 quarterbacks right now. Really good basketball player, point guard. Could do that in college. I think mom and dad have this vision that he's going to play both sports at the next level. I do not think that's going to happen. Texas Tech, they also have it rolling when it comes to the basketball roster and spending a lot there. I just can't see Kavian Bryant getting on the court. But, hey, I'm not a basketball guy. So I think if we're looking towards the college game, right, who is he similar? What kind of impact? I think like DeMond Williams at Washington, that comes to mind. Marcel Reed at Texas A&M. These guys that can create with their legs, but they also can throw the football. They also can connect on the long ball. So for Texas Tech, man, highest ranked quarterback recruit of all time, Kavian Bryant is tracking to be that. That's notable. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech. And you look at the Red Raiders, they got, 2 5-stars committed in 2026, guys that are set to sign with them and a month from now. And now they got it rolling in the 2027 cycle. They got Jalen Brewster, number 1 ranked defensive lineman in the country. And they got Kavian Bryant, number 3 quarterback right now. So much, I think, of what we've seen from the Red Raiders and what we'll see on Saturday when they take on BYU is these transfer portal acquisitions. But Joey McGuire is a former high school coach. I think his base, his philosophy is rooted in high school recruiting. And now Texas Tech is grabbing guys that usually would be going to play in the SEC, would be going to play in the Big Ten. And I think that's going to make them a force moving forward in the Big 12.
Man, I'm just trying to eyeball this. Does Texas Tech have more top 247 commits than the rest of the league combined?
I prepared a bunch of stats, bud, and that was not one of them. I will tell you this, okay? Under Joey McGuire, they've landed, I think, 4 of the top 5 all-time recruits, or the top 5 all-time recruits for Texas Tech in the 24/7 sports era. So it dates back to 2010. Have all come in the past 2 years, and they've all come under Joey McGuire's watch. So they are in uncharted waters when it comes to talent acquisition from the high school ranks. I mean, I wasn't around, back then. I know you got that fun sheet where we could look at, the pre-internet recruiting rankings, but they've never had this fusion of talent. And to me, like Kavian Bryant fits what they want to do, that system there at Texas Tech. And it's just been, I think, fun from my vantage point to see what they did in the transfer portal and then see them kind of calibrate and get it done on the high school ranks. It's like, okay, no, we're trying to build sustained success. This isn't going to be flash in a pan. It's working out with Lee Hunter and Romello Height and all these guys. Like, there does seem to be a vision here where it's like, we're going to keep this thing rolling. It's not just going to be a one-hit wonder.
I mean, if you look at this league on the power ratings, it's Texas Tech and then Utah, which Texas Tech pounded Utah. I know Utah's quarterback was hurt in that game, and probably that didn't help things. But like they pretty decisively won that ball game in Salt Lake. And then like the next team I think is power rated like in the 20s, and it's BYU, and then like nobody else inside the top 30. Like that, this league is absolutely there for the taking. If Texas Tech keeps spending, like they're going to be, it might be like odds on, like literally odds on to win, meaning like more than 50% chance to win the league, like entering the preseason every year, which is wild. We just don't see that in a power league. And I think if you're Brett Yormark, you're like, yes, cool. Like I love pitching how competitive we are. I love pitching this whole idea like anybody can win every week. And, let's bring the pro wrestling guys in. Let's talk about all the drama we have and all this stuff. But you do need a team that you're like, hey, if they make it, they can win a playoff game. Like last year, Arizona State almost clipped Texas, but they didn't clip Texas, right? I do think you need like to be treated more seriously as a league. You need a team that's like really, really consistently there that can win some playoff games. And in that way, if that team gets upset, it gives more credit to the team that actually beats them.
That's fair. But here's the other thing, and I know we traded texts on this. We seem to be on different sides. So Kavian Bryant is headed to Texas Tech. He's headed to the Big 12. I just gushed about him, said I think he's the best playmaking quarterback at this stage when we talk about dual threat guys. Keyshawn Henderson, potential number one recruit in the 2026 cycle. He's headed to Houston. BYU also has another heralded signal caller committed in Ryder Lyons, right? He's going to serve his mission trip apparently in Orlando, Florida. I just saw that on social media. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what he's doing in Orlando, but he's going to serve his mission in Orlando before he makes his way to BYU. Like the quarterback play in the Big 12, it's improving. I don't know if that makes the league more competitive, but I do think it is flattening the curve kind of around the country. And I think this comes down to roster management and the allocation and distribution of the rev share money and what you're getting from your boosters. Like everyone's got a different plan. And I just talked about it with Ohio State, but it seems like these Big 12 schools are going for these high profile quarterbacks. And really what it's doing is it's taking those individuals away, at least on the front end. And obviously there's the back end with the transfers and all the quarterback, that movement that happens after a year or two, but it's taking them away from the Big Ten and the SEC. I mean, again, Kavian Bryant, I think 5 years ago, it's like, well, this kid's going to Texas or Oklahoma. Now he's going to Texas Tech. Ryder Lyons, maybe it's Oregon or USC. Now he's going to BYU. Keyshawn Henderson, is at LSU or Texas. Now he's headed to Houston. So, I think you said you thought it was like, is this situational or is this the new norm moving forward? So I'd be interested to hear you expand on that.
I think it is potentially both, right? I think you're absolutely right in terms of like if you choose to allocate your NIL money to land a 5-star quarterback, like the value add I think is possibly better for a school that's not like a traditional like top 30 type school like a BYU or a Houston, right? Because like of the buzz that it generates locally, right? Like if you're a fan base, you're like, wow, we signed a 5-star quarterback, and you're at Alabama or Ohio State, you're like, bro, tell me when we don't sign a 5-star quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. But like if you're Houston or BYU, it's like, oh, we got a 5-star quarterback like that. That really can kickstart donations, interest in the program, the hype cycle. It does make people perk up. And like if you're a recruit, you're like, wait, Keyshawn's going to Houston? Okay, like I'm going to take a second look at Houston. Maybe that entices me to take a visit. Maybe the Fritzes like crush that visit. Maybe you end up committing it. Like that is how things work. Like you do still need to kind of build that whisper campaign until it's a shout campaign and really kind of get the ball rolling on some of that stuff. I think it's a bit of a one-off is this. Both those guys are like local prospects, who are like have special connections to the school. Obviously BYU with the LDS thing for Ryder, Keyshawn like really wanting to stay in Houston like taking advantage of that opportunity. Now granted, like I mean, they could do that with other kids in the city of Houston. It's like, hey, we have a lot of money now and we are on the come up, and I know they lost this weekend, but like we are on the come up, stay in Houston. Like why not ball out in your hometown and be a local hero? I think it's like, are we going to start seeing other kids jump on board with him? Like, are they really building towards that? It's where I'd say I don't know that it translates yet. That's probably, more years down the road, I would think.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is it's going to be increasingly harder to build out a quarterback room full of former 5-star prospects,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Well, right.
I mean, obviously with the transfer portal movement, but again, paying these individuals and figuring that out. So I think it's just hard to stack these quarterbacks time and time and time again. And you watch college football on Saturdays, it's not all just the 5-stars that are winning you games, right? We see guys all different backgrounds, all different stories, all different shapes, all different sizes, all different skill sets get the job done. So, it just kind of, again, goes back to the parity we're seeing in terms of how the talent is distributed.
I mean, I think it's actually great for the sport. So I was looking this morning, there are 12 NFL teams who already have a 75% or greater chance to make the playoff. There are only 6 college teams. Like we are so much more wide open. Like the NFL feels like half the teams are basically already out, or about half. College, I mean, of the teams that would actually have some expectation of making the playoff or some dream of making the playoff, we have like 30 who are still like legitimately not zero, like not completely crazy pants scenario in which they make it. That's wild, man.
The only thing I can relate this to is obviously I went to Florida Atlantic, and the Owls basketball team made the Final Four.
Yeah.
And that run was one of the greatest periods of my life. Now I was also getting married and all this stuff, but going to the Sweet 16, not knowing that we were going to win and playing in the Elite 8 game and then winning that game. And then, ever since it's I follow Florida Atlantic basketball because I know, hey, all it takes is that for them to win a few games and then you are in the dance. So I can't, that's the only thing I can relate it to. And I think it's what makes it fun and keeps you engaged throughout the season.
I think Dan Wetzel said this for a long time, and I kind of stealing his argument here, but why the 4 team was such a bad thing is because everybody was so out of a 4 team so early in the season, and then the rights holder, which in this case ESPN, but clearly if CBS had the rights to the playoff, we would run the same type of commercials "Are you in?" with the implicit message that actually you're not in, so you're out and your season is basically done, and we're going to focus solely on the playoff race, starting in early October, in which you're already basically nuked. So man, the ability to get a 5-star quarterback to stay in that playoff race longer, I think it does make these other teams more viable, man, as far as building a real fan base. People go to schools, if you're going to a Mississippi State, or if you're going to an Oklahoma State, you see on TikTok the atmospheres that an Ohio State or an Alabama have, right? You want to be part of something like that, even if it's not every year. A special run, like you said, can kind of build that lifelong fandom. And I am curious to see how the Big 12 evolves with this for sure. Maybe not every team can do it, but if just one of the two of BYU and Houston, if they capitalize on having a Ryder or a Keyshawn, or maybe if Texas Tech makes a deep playoff run, right? They spin that into a couple more stud high school players they can sit there and develop. Maybe they have something there. I'm excited to see the sport expand. Obviously, selfishly, as somebody who runs the show, if we have more fan bases care, that is good for our business. But I think it's good for the health of the sport not to have the same 5 or 6 teams win the title all the time.